and let us all do we can to build a better future.
You know what's great doing a morning show? Is that you're the first one really talking about this. Now, this video is going to be clipped because it's part of the live stream right now. But, you know, as I was prepping dinner, because, you know, these past 2 months, you know, doing a lot of work, I wasn't really expecting my phone to buzz. But then some friends and colleagues and all social media was just a buzzing with some words. And apparently somebody won big at the vending machine or one of these game machines, because it turns out Death finally got what he was looking for. Henry Kissinger, finally. That's what's great doing a morning show. I wonder what we'll be talking about tomorrow at 9 a.m. in the morning. What will we be talking about? Well, it turns out old Henry Kissinger has kicked the bucket. So we can no longer use the joke when a celebrity or musician or great intellectual who passes away, who did do some good in this world, you know, we can no longer use the joke, well, the sad truth is Henry Kissinger's still alive. So whoever did it, above or below, because we're going to be inclusive here. We're not going to be divisive. We're going to be inclusive. Whoever did it, on behalf of the people of the free world, hey, we got rid of Henry Kissinger. So many people have been cheering. My colleague Daniel messaged me, hey, I could finally rest easy. I love doing the morning show. I love it because we're the first ones to talk about it, which is great. Shout out to all my colleagues, because I wonder what they're going to be talking about too. The Jimmy Dore Show, Revolutionary Blackout Network, Convo Couch, Due Dissidents. What is everyone going to talk about? So it's only important that we first pull up this video. Shout out to Case Study QB. Be sure to follow him on Twitter. He is wrongly being censored, of course. So let's go ahead and play this video where the media announces Kissinger's dear, dear, sweet departure.
This morning, the world is remembering one of the most influential and complicated foreign policy figures in American history. Former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger died yesterday at his home in Connecticut. He was 100 years old. Kissinger served, of course, as National Security Advisor and Secretary of State to President.
Now, what's unfortunate is, you know, he died comfortably in his home. Meanwhile, he brought terror, pain, madness, and insanity to the world. He was in the comfort of his own home, surrounded by machines that we could barely afford with our health insurance. 1923 to 2023. You know, this year was kind of terrible. You know, kind of sucked. At least it's trying to attempt to end on a high note, but prepare yourself for all the sociopaths and psychopaths in Washington, D.C. to say, oh, he was such a great person. Oh, my goodness, he was such a great leader. We could learn so much from him. Yeah, I know. I'm vomiting too in my brain.
President Nixon, he would actually go on to advise 12 presidents, becoming a singular figure in foreign policy, and was a diplomat till the end, meeting with President Xi Jinping of China as recently as July.
Now, Kissinger, of course, navigated U.S. policy during the Vietnam War and most notably during the Cold War. He helped open communist China to the United States, but he also had critics, very real critics. Some accused him of being a war criminal for policies they say contributed to massive civilian deaths in places like Cambodia in the 1970s.
Now, I love to play that video of Anthony Bourdain here on YouTube, but we'll get copyright strike, which is why at the end of this video, there will be a Rumble exclusive Rumble video, which I'll have Anthony Bourdain giving his commentary on Henry Kissinger, as well as a certain crab dance video, which will be absolutely delicious and beautiful. So there you go. But, however, I think it's important that we hear from other perspectives on who Henry Kissinger is. What is he all about? So let's go ahead and pull up this video as well so all of you can see it. So let's go ahead and check it out.
Hey, Mr. Kissinger, my name's Luke Radowski of We Are Change. Just one quick question before you go. Obama's National Security Advisor, Jones, says he takes these daily orders from you. I was wondering, are you still giving out... Obama's National Security Advisor, Jones, says he takes his daily orders from you. And I was wondering, from you, And I was wondering, are you still giving out orders?
Danilin?
Jones.
Who's John?
Jones, National Security Advisor for Obama. Jones says he takes the daily orders from you. He gave you that at Talking CFR. But I just want to know, are you still giving out orders like Memorandum 200, where you said depopulation should be hell? Sir, just a question. I'm not going to go to hell because Memorandum 200, sir. Memorandum 200. Just asked him a question about Memorandum 200 that he wrote in April 24, 1974. It's an honest question. Okay. Kissinger, Memorandum 200. Depopulation.
We're on topic now. We came here. We give you the access. If you want to burn bridges, you can do that.
I don't want to burn any bridges. I wasn't disrespectful. I wasn't accusatory. It was
Madness and insanity. So let's pull up this other video as well. Another look at who Henry Kissinger is.
Henry Kissinger is somehow still alive.
Now, this video's old, but it just talks about his list of accomplishments. Don't worry, folks. He has passed away. The dead can't rise yet. Well, hey, we live in strange times. 2020 should have prepared us all for all the craziness that we're going to be facing. And by the way, side note, just because the year 2020 ended doesn't mean the decade 2020 has. I know. We still got a few more years of this decade.
And in his lifetime, he's been responsible for some of the worst atrocities in the history of the world. As he turns 100 on Saturday, we wanted to recap just a few of the war crimes that stand as his true legacy. Under Nixon, Kissinger oversaw the massacre of millions in Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos from 1969 to 1973. He was the mastermind behind the carpet bombing of Cambodia, which deliberately targeted civilians, personally approving all 3,875 bombing raids in Cambodia. And to this day, Laos remains the most bombed country in world history. In Chile, Kissinger played a key role in orchestrating the US-backed 1973 coup that toppled the socialist government of Salvador Allende and installed the fascist Augusto Pinochet. Pinochet's brutal regime murdered thousands and subjected tens of thousands more to torture during his 16-year reign. Kissinger aided the Pakistani dictator Yahya Khan against Bangladesh's liberation war of 1971, enabling the mass slaughter of an estimated 300,000 to 3 million people. Kissinger authorized and armed Suharto, the Indonesian dictator, in his genocidal invasion of East Timor in 1975. This campaign led to the death of over 200,000 Timorese through massacres and forced starvation. In 1976, Kissinger gave his pre-approval to Argentina's right-wing military junta for their dirty...
I'm going to pause it here. I just want all of you to remember one thing, and one thing alone. Politicians on both sides of the aisle, across the political spectrum, federal and state level, will be each issuing their own heartfelt, "Oh, he'll be missed. I looked up to him. He was a real leader. His legacy lives on forever." And that's a horrifying truth. His legacy will be living on for quite some time. Yes, everyone's celebrating, but I think it's important to point out that the damage that he did still remains, and it is our social responsibility to clean it up. It is our social responsibility to try and enact much needed compassion, relief, and rebuilding. He has advised how many presidents? 12? How many people did he know in the cesspool that is Washington, D.C.? The answer is a lot. We could be here all day naming names, counting them all day, every day, but we just don't have the time. The answer is a lot. But we have to be better. These things happened. And unfortunately, the American people, we allowed scumbags like Kissinger and so many others because, hey, just because he's gone doesn't mean that there aren't others waiting in the wings to fly on down. I think it's important for us to remember that we, the American people, with the help of the media, turned a blind eye to it. Our silent, obedient consent. If we want to stop the history repeating itself, we have to be active and call it out. Diligence is key. Let's play the rest of this.
War against leftists, resulting in the brutal murder, torture, and disappearance of over 30,000 people. This is only a glimpse into the extensive list of Kissinger's crimes, and new things are still being revealed every year. While Kissinger continues to be honored and held in high regard by the mainstream political establishment, it's clear that he should rightfully be remembered as one of the biggest mass murderers in history.
Now, look, seeing all of that, from Chile to Argentina to Cambodia to Vietnam, throughout the world, Henry Kissinger's legacy remains. But at least we can also have some kind of humor to this, some kind of interesting smile here and there, because we should be a little bit happy that this guy is no longer around, and the old joke can finally be put to rest. So I'll pull up this video here. Now, she seems very happy. Why is she happy? Why is she smiling?
In honor of Henry Kissinger finally kicking the bucket, here's a video of me telling him to rot in hell 5 years ago.
That criminals don't run the government? Are you telling me that you're not a war criminal? That you do not deserve to go to jail for the crimes that you have enacted? You deserve to answer to war crimes, to crimes against humanity. You deserve to go to jail and rot in hell. You have enacted crimes against Chile, against Argentina, against Cambodia, against Vietnam. You are a war criminal and you deserve to rot.
Give your ID to
In honor of Henry Kissinger.
You know what? I'm happy for her because she seems happy. Now, I want to read up this tweet right here. This is from Spike Cohen. We've had him on the show before. Yesterday, Henry Kissinger died in the comfort of his home, surrounded by loved ones. He will no doubt receive a hero's funeral courtesy of the U.S. taxpayer. Yeah, sorry. I know all of you are kind of happy, but Spike really, hey, man, listen, Spike, you didn't have to deliver such a gut check, but it's the truth. And hey, that's what we're here to do on Hard Lens Media. Give commentary and analysis, and it's spot on. So, yes, he's going to be given a hero's funeral. I am so sorry. To my fellow Americans, you're going to be paying for it. The corporate media will lavish him with praise. They will. Only occasionally noting his notoriety and the controversy surrounding his foreign policy. Case in point, that one video I played from Case Study QB, no pun intended. Sadly, the millions of victims of that policy over the course of the past 7 decades weren't afforded the same luxuries. To the Vietnamese, Cambodians, Laotians, Bangladeshis, and many other people around the world, Henry Kissinger was the equivalent of Himmler or Goring to them. Kissinger was one of the most influential people in the U.S. government in his lifetime, and one of the most responsible for our decline into imperialism. Millions dead, tens of millions displaced, the hundreds of millions still suffering from the devastation of his wars. And that's before we get into the tens of thousands of U.S. troops sacrificed at the altar of his policies and the millions more who continue to suffer from the trauma they were left with. That's before we get into the burdens caused by spending trillions on war, running up debt to pay for it, leaving generations not even born yet to pay it with interest, and creating money out of thin air to finance the debt, thereby devaluing our money and causing the cost of living to continuously skyrocket. Simply put, Henry Kissinger created a vicious monster, and while he's gone now, it lives on. If it's allowed to remain, millions more will suffer in the future, maybe even billions. Let's end it for good and bury it right next to him. Rest in peace, you jagoff. Rest in piss. How about that? Rest in piss. There you go. Thank you. Well, Spike Cohen, thank you so much for tweeting that out. It's the truth. It's the truth. You know, his legacy will live on. And of course, Common Dreams wrote this too. Henry Kissinger dies at 100 without facing justice for his war crimes. Henry Kissinger, the former diplomat whose efforts to prolong and expand the U.S. war on Southeast Asia and undermine democracy in Latin America and elsewhere, took millions of lives, died Wednesday at 100 years old. Treated like royalty in elite U.S. political circles until his death at his home in Connecticut. The great state of Connecticut. Why? Kissinger, who served as Secretary of State and National Security Advisor under Nixon and Ford, never faced justice for the secretive carpet bombing of Cambodia that he helped orchestrate the overthrow of Chile's democratic elected president, or the murderous dirty war in Argentina that killed tens of thousands. This man's crimes live on forever. I want to read this right here. We will never know what might have been. The question of Kissinger's apologists and those in U.S. foreign policy elite who imagine themselves standing in Kissinger's shoes insist upon when explaining away his crimes. We can only know what actually happened. What actually happened was Kissinger materially sabotaged the only chance for an end to the war in 1968 as a hedged bet to ensure he would achieve power in Nixon's administration or Humphrey's. A true tally will probably never be known of everyone who died, so Kissinger could be National Security Advisor. It didn't have to be this way. But you know what? Let's at least end this on a high note. Let's end this with a smile. At least with one more video before I give my final thoughts. I want to give a shout out to Joe, shut the F up, shite lib. Let's play it, because this is the best thing on the internet.
This is the greatest thing that I have ever seen. Out of everything that's on the internet, this is the best thing that has ever existed.
And it is. And it is. But what can we take away from this? All jokes aside, he's gone. But now we must double and triple our efforts to dismantle his legacy. We have to put aside our own differences. We, as U.S. citizens, no matter where we stand on the political spectrum, have a social responsibility to dismantle the monster, the beast that Henry Kissinger helped create. Now, we as citizens played a role in it. We didn't really speak out. Our media didn't do its job. The corporations put up the blinders, gave us earmuffs, and we said nothing. In this day and age now, we have social media. We're talking to each other more. And I understand that we're all hypercharged with emotions, different perspectives and points of view, but what we can agree in together, that what Henry Kissinger helped create, with the aid of the Democratic establishment and Republican establishment, must be stopped. Whether you're libertarian or green, socialist, independent, Democrat or Republican, Henry Kissinger impacted the lives of millions upon millions. Controversial statement here, maybe billions of lives, all in the name of power, war, profit, destruction, madness, insanity. We're better than this. We have to show the world that we are better than this. The ongoing protests, the ongoing involvement in local, state, and yes, even federal politics, we have to get involved. We have to end what still remains of Henry Kissinger's legacy.